We fought back the Iron Golems. Now we must face the other warband with iron in its name. Creativity isn't the Oryx strong suit.
I think they're making fun of us, Ron. Oh, now I'm sad.
Age of Sigmar Warcry. Ironjawz versus Splintered Fangs. Welcome everyone to another Warcry battle report. Today we have the rough and powerful Ironjawz against those proficient with a Poisoner's Kit. Let's show you the models we will be using this battle and then flip some cards to see what is in store for this combat. We begin with the Ironjawz. In the hammer we have a Brute with a pair of Choppas and an Ardboy with a Choppa and Smasha. For the shield we have two Ardboys with big Choppas and the leader of the Ironjawz, the Ardboy boss. For those interested, I'm using a model from the Iron Skull Boys set in place of the Ardboy boss. Finally, for the dagger, we have another Brute and an Ardboy with a Choppa and a Smasha. For the Splintered Fangs and the hammer, we have all the pawns. We have 3 Clear Blood and another Clear Blood with a shield. In the shield squad, we have the Venom Blood with spear and shield, and the leader are True Blood, a Pure Blood, and a Venom Blood with a whip and blade. And finally, to round out the force in the dagger, we have the Serpents and the Serpent Caller. Now let us flip some cards. For the terrain today, we will be using obstacles from both the starter set and the Shattered Storm Vault set, so hopefully it will give us some fun visuals. Here it is all set up on the table. For the deployment card, we turn it over to reveal the battle lines setup. Looks like all combatants will be out turn 1 and split up evenly across the battlefield. The 2 fighters roll off, Ironjawz red and the Splintered Fangs yellow. The Ironjawz will choose the blue deployment zone. Now we will see the objective of this match, and it looks like each side will try and vanquish the other. Very simple battle this one will be. Whoever takes down the opponent's hammer first wins. This is going to be a long, tactical match. Look at me being all excited. And finally we flip over the twist card to reveal Arcane Inscriptions. A new double ability is available to all fighters this battle round. It can give fighters a roughly 17% chance to acquire a wild dice in the next hero phase. Wonder if this new ability will be used, or if combat-based abilities will be a better choice this battle. The 2 warbands will now set up their fighters. The Ironjawz will set up in the blue deployment zone because they won the roll-off, and the Splintered Fangs will set up on the other side of the battlefield. Once all the fighters are set up, we start our game with rolling a bunch of dice. The Ironjawz roll 66. They manage to roll up 4 singles and a double. The Splintered Fangs then roll their dice and manage to get 2 doubles and a pair of singles. The Ironjawz will turn one of their singles into a double, and the Splintered Fangs will do the same. This means the Ironjawz have the initiative and will be going first. To start the game off, an Ardboy hiding behind the obstacle will use the rush ability to move a little bit farther forward towards the enemy's hammer squad. Then a token will be placed next to him, ending his activation. Next is a True Blood leader who will take a hint from the Ardboy that just went and also use the rush ability as well. She will run in front of her own hammer squad to create a blockade, then ending her activation. Moving back to the Ironjawz, a Brute will also rush forward to get up behind the Ardboy and challenge the True Blood in a later turn. This then ends his activation. The model that you can barely see, the Serpents, will go next using a double move to get closer to the Ironjawz hammer squad. They will slither forward and most likely wait to be stepped on and die, ending their activation. Then an Ardboy from the shield squad will move forward trying to get close to their own hammer squad, but the Ironjawz can be quite slow. We then hop over to the Splintered Fangs, who the Pure Blood will take his turn using the rush ability to get closer to the enemy hammer squad, but it may take a couple turns to make it all that way. The Ardboy boss is next, and he will start scaling some obstacles. He will move a total of 6 inches up and across the terrain, getting a nice overview of the battlefield, ending his activation. The Venom Blood with the shield is next. He will move up next to his leader to also create a better blockade to protect their hammer squad. An Ardboy from the shield squad will go next using a double move to travel under an archway. He will move his piddly 6 inches forward, ending his activation. The other Venom Blood will whip into action. See what I did there? Anywho, he will double move forward and continue making a blockade with the True Blood and the other Venom Blood. Finally, some blood will be shed this battle round. The Brute from the hammer squad will inch forward and smash into the snakes. Hitting on 3s, he manages to deal out 6 damage, which is not enough to kill the snakes. The Serpent Caller will go next and wants some revenge because that brute stepped on his snakes. He'll move his 5 inches forward, which is just in range of his dagger attack. With an 8-inch range, the Serpent Caller will use the double ability Poisoned Weapons to grant hits on 3s against the brute. A dagger flies across the battlefield and not only finds purchase on the brute, but lands a critical hit, ending his activation. To follow that up, the Yard Boy in the Hammer Squad will move up to the Serpents. He just needs 2 damage to take out these pesky snakes, and definitely does it with a couple critical hits, removing the Serpents from the battle. And to finish up the battle round, all of the Clearbloods in the Hammer Squad will move in unison to get a better defensive position on the battlefield, hiding behind the obstacle. This will end all of their activations, and of course end the first battle round. So, at the end of Battle Round 1, the fighters have really mixed up their strategies here. It seems the Ironjawz are going more for an offensive strategy to take down the opponent's hammer, while the Splintered Fangs are taking more of a defensive route. Due to the model count in each warband, Ironjawz being lower and the Snakefolk being higher, it would make sense to go with these strategies. But without further ado, we will move on to Battle Round 2. To start, the Ironjawz roll their dice and end up getting a triple and 3 singles. For the Splintered Fangs, they roll up their dice and get a double and 4 singles. The Splintered Fangs will divide up their wild dice first and turn a single into a double, and the Ironjawz will take their triple and turn it into a quad. And because each warband has the same amount of singles after spending their wild dice, they will roll off to see who goes first, and it is the Ironjawz. Right off the bat, the brute nearby the enemy Hammer Squad will move forward towards the Venom Blood and the True Blood, and then activate the quad ability Rampage. The first initial move was a bonus action granted by this ability, and now the brute can attack 3 times. The first attack goes into the Venom Blood. The attack hits on 3s and then sends 4 damage through. The next attack will attempt to finish the Venom Blood off. On a side note, I did accidentally use yellow dice here, so, well, oops. Anywho, the second attack deals enough damage to take down the Venom Blood. For the final bonus attack, the brute slams his axe down into the True Blood. Hitting on 4s, the brute manages to push through 6 total damage. After that crazy turn, the True Blood will fight back and has some crazy tricks up her sleeves. She will use the double ability Ensnaring Net on the Yard Boy to the right side of the screen. This will cause him to stay put this battle round. After that, she will swing into the brute, hitting on 5s, sending 5 damage through, ending her activation. The Yard Boy boss is next. He will double move, spending his turn showing off his acrobatic techniques, leaping across gaps and falling down obstacles. For an Orruk, he seems to be pretty dexterous. Next is the Serpent Caller, and he will attempt 2 ranged shots at the Yard Boy of the Hammer Squad. Both of these attacks are hitting on 5s, and unfortunately both of the daggers miss the target. Next, an Yard Boy that is far away from the fray will take his turn to move closer to the combat, but those stubby Orruk legs can take him only so far. Next is the Venom Blood with the spear and shield. He will shift over and get in spear range with the brute, once my fat hand gets out of the way. Before he attacks in, he will coat his weapon with poison, granting him hits on 3s. The spear stabs in and does a total of 4 damage to the brute. After the Splintered Fangs go, another Yard Boy will double move forward to give some backup to the Hammer Squad. Far back in this shot, the Clearblood with the shield will go next. He fears the Orruks will break through soon and will hightail it out of there. He decides to double move forward to the Serpent Caller, seeking additional protection. Then the brute from the Hammer Squad is getting annoyed from being poked with daggers the past couple rounds, so he decides to retreat back a little as his turn. The Pure Blood will go next, and just simply double move closer to the enemy Hammer Squad, hoping to do some damage later. The Yard Boy from the Hammer Squad sees the Pure Blood approach and decides to go on the offensive. He moves forward and then will swing a single attack into the Pure Blood. Hitting on 4s, the axe slams in, dealing a total of 5 damage. Moving on to the Splintered Fangs, for the sake of brevity, the 3 Clearbloods in the Hammer Squad will sit still this battle round. And of course, the poor Yard Boy that was stuck by the Ensnaring Net cannot move this turn and is not in range of any enemy, so his turn will end. Thus, this ends Battle Round 2. Both warbands are closing in on each other's Hammer Squad, and the Splintered Fangs have lost a couple fighters at this point, but a number of Ironjawz have taken some damage. Will the poison continue to spread through the Orruk bloodstream, or will the Ironjawz axes and hammers overpower the Snake men and women? Let's move on to Battle Round 3. The Ironjawz will roll first. They manage to roll up 2 doubles and a couple singles. For the Splintered Fangs, they end up getting a triple 6 and a few singles. Both warbands then divvy up their wild dice. Splintered Fangs give themselves a double, and the Ironjawz make themselves a triple. Both sides must roll off again to see who goes first. It takes a couple rolls, but it is the Ironjawz once again to start things off. A Brute is first, and he sees the True Blood leader in front of him, and he is not happy. He uses the double ability, Duff Up the Big Thing. This gives him more attacks and hitting on 3s. He spends his whole turn swinging his axe and sword into the leader, and manages to strike her down. Next, the Pureblood will attack into the Ardboy from the Hammer Squad. He will use the Onslaught ability to get a couple more dice to roll, and after 10 dice are rolled, the Ardboy only needs 1 more damage to be defeated. Onto the Ardboy boss, who once he finishes his move closer to the enemy Hammer Squad, he will pop off the Wah ability. A number of Aurochs are in range of this ability, so they can benefit from it later in their turn when it comes. The Serpent Caller is next and is going to try and take advantage of a heavily damaged Ardboy. He runs over to the Orc, bites in with his snake on his back, and does enough damage to finish him off, thus ending his activation. Onto an Ardboy who benefited from the Wah. He will double move and take that extra movement to place him in a good position with the enemy Hammer Squad. But one of those Clear Bloods from the Hammer Squad will attack into this invader. Hitting on 5s, the Clear Blood puts a lot of unexpected damage into the Ardboy. And just like last turn, another Ardboy will make his way over to the Hammer Squad, hoping to do some damage next turn. Another Clear Blood will attack into the Ardboy that has already taken some damage. With 3 critical hits, this Ardboy has been taken out. These Clear Bloods have really outdone themselves. Across the battlefield, an Ardboy will move towards the Pureblood and attack in. Hitting on 4s, he manages to deal out damage, but only 1 point away from killing him outright. Back over to the Clear Bloods. Another will attack twice into an invading Ardboy and only squeezes in 3 damage. He didn't take a hint from his pals. For the Ironjawz, a Brute will double move forward towards the Clear Blood with the shield. Maybe he can get in next turn and deal out some damage. Next, the Venomblood with the spear will stab twice into the nearby Brute and start off by using the Poisoned Weapon ability. Now hitting on 3s, he deals 8 damage, but not enough to take him out. And for the last activation, the Clear Blood with the shield will stay put this battle round. This ends battle round 3. The Ironjawz lost a member of their Hammer Squad, and the Splintered Fangs still have all their Clear Bloods hanging around. This next battle round, we shall see who has it in them to take down the enemy once and for all. Or, you know, this game can continue all the way to battle round 6. So, we begin with battle round 4. The Ironjawz start things off by rolling 66. They end up getting 2 doubles and a couple singles. For the Splintered Fangs, they end up rolling the same, but I didn't divide it up so well. Both sides then roll off to see who starts off with their wild dice this round, and it will be the Snakefolk. The Splintered Fangs decide to add a single to their dice, and it looks like the Ironjawz will do the same. It is up to another roll-off to determine who will go first this round, and after a couple of rolls, it will be the Splintered Fangs who start things off. The Venomblood will stab in once again, but first coating his weapon in poison. Hitting on 3s, the Venomblood manages enough damage to take out the terrifying Brute. Then we move on to an Ardboy near the enemy Hammer Squad. He will use the Onslaught ability, adding a die to his attacks and swing down his axe. The first swing was not enough, but pushes through enough damage on the recoil. Next up is the Serpent Caller, who is in range of the Brute from the Hammer Squad. His snake strikes in a couple times with his poisoned fangs. Hitting on 3s, the snake does a fair amount of damage to the Brute, taking him down a notch or 2. The Brute that was just hit decides to charge back into the Serpent Caller. He then takes 2 swings at the Snakeman. Hitting on 4s, he deals a total of 12 damage into the Serpent Caller, close to taking him down. Back over to the other side of the battlefield, a Clear Blood moves over to the Ardboy that took out his pal. She will stab into the Auroch, hitting on 5s and squeaks through a single point of damage. Next, an Ardboy is looking to finish off the Pureblood, who only has 1 point of health left. The axe slams down and takes him out on the first swing. He then moves up closer to the Serpent Caller, surrounding the poor Snakeman. Then another Clearblood will shift over and then attack into this pesky Ardboy. This time a little bit more damage is done to the Orc, ending the Clearblood's activation. The leader of the Ironjawz, the Ardboy boss, moves forward to get in base contact with the Clearblood. Any chance to slow them down is a small victory for the Ironjawz. And to finish out the battle round, the Clearblood will first disengage from the boss and then move back towards the door, planning to run through it on its next turn. Thus, this ends battle round 4. The Ironjawz managed to take down a Clearblood from the Hammer Squad, and the Splintered Fangs have managed to deal out more damage to the Brute in the opponent's hammer. We shall see in battle round 5 if either warband can achieve victory. Now let's move on to that battle round 5. The Ironjawz, for the 5th time this game, start off by rolling 66. They get a triple and a few singles. For the Splintered Fangs, they end up copying the Oryx. So once again it leads to a roll-off, and the Splintered Fangs will assign their wild dice first. They will add a single to their pile because they want to go first, and the Ironjawz will copy them as well. This leads to another roll-off where the Ironjawz win, granting them their first activation. The Ardboy boss will go first, move closer to the Serpent Collar, and then let off a wah, benefiting those nearby. The Orc will then swing into the Serpent Collar, finishing him and his snake off. Then the turn moves over to the Splintered Fangs. A Clearblood goes next and coats her weapon with some poison. Now she's hitting on 3s. She stabs in once, doing minor damage to the Ardboy. The second attack is a good one, but it is not enough, ending her activation. The Ardboy that was almost defeated will attack into the Clearblood that is yet to activate. Hitting on 3s, he slams in 8 damage, but that is not enough to kill him outright. The Venomblood decides to go next. He will double move towards the Clearblood with the shield to create a basic blockade for him. He just has to hold them off, even if it is for just one round. Then another Ardboy will go. He has the benefit from the Wah, so he has enough range to move towards the Venomblood blockade and attack right after. The Ardboy hitting on 5s here and misses all the attacks. The Clearblood near the doorway is next. He will move through the door and head over to help out the other Clearblood fighting the Ardboy. This ends his activation. Next is the final Hammer Squad member for the Ironjawz, the Brute. He figures the only way to win is to go on the offensive. He will take the boost from the Wah and rush forward towards the Snake Hammer Squad and end his turn. To finish off the round is the last Clearblood. She will use her first activation to attack the heavily damaged Ardboy and manages to take him down. For her second activation, she will move up to the Brute from the Hammer Squad. This ends battle round 5. A lot of carnage and bloodshed this battle round. Not too many fighters are left on the battlefield, and only one member of the Hammer Squad is present for the Ironjawz. We now move on to battle round 6. The Ironjawz will start things off once again, and they started off big with a quad 3. Moving on to the Splintered Fangs, they roll up a triple and 3 singles. For the wild dice, both the Ironjawz and the Splintered Fangs will add on a single. This forces the Splintered Fangs to start first, hoping to do some damage before the quad comes into place. One of the Clearbloods will start and use the double ability to poison up their attacks. Now hitting on 3s with 8 total attacks, the Clearblood sends in 7 damage, nothing to scoff at. It is now time for the Brute from the Hammer Squad to use the quad for the Rampage ability. He starts off by attacking into the Clearblood with the shield, and after 3 total attacks, hitting on 4s, the Brute only manages 6 damage, and does not even finish off the Clearblood. Next, the Venomblood will disengage from the Ardboy nearby and move to block the Ardboy boss, forcing him to deal with him first. Then the lone Ardboy will double move towards the Brute to hopefully provide some backup as long as he is still around for the next battle round. The Clearblood with the shield will attack into the Brute, expending everything, but does not land a single hit. Then we move on to the Orc leader. He decides to attack into the Venomblood and slams in 3 critical hits, just decimating him. And then he moves a few inches forward to end his activation. To finish off the battle round, the final Clearblood will move up and then attack into the Brute. Some damage manages to squeak through, and the Brute only has 2 wounds left. And this attack ends battle round 6. The round is over, and whoever manages to go first this next battle round may determine who is victorious. We shall see what is in store for Battle Round 7. The Ironjawz start rolling for the last time. They end up getting a double and 4 singles. For the Splintered Fangs, they roll and get 2 doubles and a couple singles. The Ironjawz will give themselves an extra double, and the Splintered Fangs will give themselves a 3rd double if they need it. We start with the Brute from the Hammer Squad. He will use the Onslaught ability and attempt to lay waste to these Clearbloods. The first attack goes into the one on the left, and he manages to take her down. The next one goes into the Resilient Shield Bearer, and this time he manages to take him down. It is all up to the final Clearblood now, who will use the Poisoned Weapon ability, swing in all attacks into the Brute, and slam the blade deep enough to finish off the Oryx. Victory goes to the Splintered Fangs. So after 7 rounds, we come to a conclusion. This was a well-fought battle from both sides. Some unfortunate rolls for each warband, but also a solid strategy for the Splintered Fangs. They held up as long as they could, and it paid off for them. Playing defensively worked out for them, and that Poison Weapon ability is the real champion this battle. Overall, it was an exciting battle, and one that may be hard to repeat. I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.